Welcome to Horns Up. I am Animesh.
And I'm Peter.
And let's get straight to it. One of the most anticipated debut metal albums from within the country is finally ready for launch. It's by the band Godless. Welcome to Horns Up, guys. In the immortal words of Triple H, are you ready?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, so before we go on, we have the whole band here almost. Everyone, one by one, just introduce yourselves.
And what you do in the band, of course.
Okay, this is Noise. I play guitars for Godless.
This is Abbas here. I play bass for Godless.
Hi, I'm Kaushal and I do vocals.
And Abbas, you're making your second appearance on the podcast, which is kind of cool. Last time we had you as part of the fun session that we did.
Right,
Did you enjoy that one?
Yeah, that was good fun, dude. I remember Anup and me.
Yep.
Trying to keep it as non-controversial as you could with the opinions.
I know.
But yeah, I mean, it's been a while since we did that. And on the last episode we did with you, you talked about like Godless doing the debut album. So glad we finally got you and got both Kaushal and Moez also on the podcast this time.
Yeah, man, glad to be here. Glad to talk to you guys about the music. And like as we spoke about, we go back a long way. So it's good to do this together.
Yeah. I mean, like, of course, like Abbas and I go back to the days when he was in script. So it's been a while. And it's crazy just to see that kind of evolution, right? I mean, like we're talking about your debut album, your States of Chaos, which I guess we never mentioned earlier. But tell us all about that, because I mean, this has been in the works for a while, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, I think we've had this format since the first EP release. Like as soon as the EP is done recording, we start working on the next music. Basically, I remember like I think right after the first EP launch gig or whatever, basically we already had new material for the next gig basically. So yeah, this is kind of been the same formula here as well. As soon as Swarm was done, we started working on new material, and we had material for this album already. And I mean bits and pieces. Obviously, then over the next 2-3 years, it's been 3 years, like almost exactly 3 years since we released Swarm. So yeah, it's I think 2 years of writing and a year of polishing and recording and mixing and mastering.
You guys did one EP, then you had material for another EP, so you released that EP. Then how come no third EP, but how come the third one is now the album?
I don't know, actually thought maybe, yeah, because I mean, initially we always thought we're going to be that band that's only going to release EPs.
That's right.
And then someone told us, hey, you should do an album. I'm like, why? Like,
so what's the difference between an EP and an album?
It's just basically longer, and I guess it would be industry standards would be 30 minutes or something like that.
I don't know what I mean, if that is the standard, then we are under the standard. I think we bumped up some tempos.
It might be 25 minutes. I might be wrong. I don't know.
Listen, Rain and Blood is not even 30 minutes. And
that was the saving. I was like, Rain and Blood is 28. We are fine with 29.
No, I mean, okay, so let's spin that question around and let's talk about that. Why do you think State of Chaos is an album? Is it like, does it have a concept behind it, or is it just a collection of a large body of work which has to be released as an album and can't be called an EP? What makes that distinction?
Yeah, I think there is certainly an underlying element that kind of ties it all together. Lyrically, there's more psychological things going on. I'm writing about more, things that are more intrinsic, and things that are happening inside your mind and stuff like that, as opposed to sort of like the general way of writing. So I would say that's the thing that kind of ties it all together. So yes, I mean, I would say most of the songs do have some a thread, if I may.
I think also from the writing perspective, it also was a bit of a challenge because we had this format of writing these many songs and putting it out every 2 years or 3 years, whatever. It was obviously, pushing yourself to write more music and write music that you're happy with as well. Like, I mean, you can write music, but the music has to, and we had to take it up a notch from what we've done. And
yeah, and I would say Netherworld is like pretty much a good example of, the kind of stuff that I try to explore while writing the lyrics.
Oh, definitely. Like you talking about taking it up a notch. You guys have taken it up several notches. I mean, there's such a huge difference between Godless on the album, and we are saying this because thank you for sharing the previews with us as such, so that we have we've already gotten a taste of the album, and boy, do you guys sound fucking monstrous and awesome. It's such a huge difference between the Godless on the album versus the Godless that we've seen or heard actually earlier on the EPs. Just take us through that process, man. Like, how much of effort did it take to bump your stock up these many notches?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I don't know how to. Like, sometimes you don't think of it that way, but then you also know you want to write something better than the last thing that you've done. So I don't know where, how, what process, how that comes out, but I know it's just like.
I think it's just a natural progression that had to be done.
I guess so. Yeah, it's just more influence. So sometimes it's more influence, and sometimes it's just stripping yourself of all your influences and just going back to basics and writing something that is just good sounding music. You don't try not to borrow anything from too many places. So stop listening to music for a while when you're writing riffs or writing stuff like that. That sometimes, because if you're really into a band at one point, that kind of tends to creep in to your music, and everything tends to sound like very similar. So here it was kind of just like just stripping yourself down to the basics and just going back to like your roots of creating music, basically, I guess.
Okay, so how were these tracks like created? Did they all come up in the jam room, or did somebody come in with a bunch of riffs and you all arranged it together? Did the ideas for the lyrics come first?
So I would say music obviously comes first, and yeah, obviously I think that is also the case with most metal bands, but it starts with the riff, right? And yeah, it may or may not be worked on in the jam room. I mean, the riffs are written first, and we sort of like rehearse that in the jam room a bunch of times, and the vocal patterns sort of like go together, and we're all rehearsing that piece of music. And yeah, the lyrics come a little later. Obviously, it's not like written before the music or anything like that. But it's just, I think it in fact helps the process of lyric writing when you're listening to a piece of music and you're feeling it and you feel like, okay, this is something that, I mean, obviously you might have ideas of what it could be, but then when you hear a piece of music that you've written and rehearse it in the jam room, you have a much more broader perspective about your themes.
I guess you feel the music in the jam, that's where you really like, I mean, that's when you really connect with the music, I guess. And then when you take that out live, it's different. But yeah, at the jam and the band's playing together and you're coming up with the thing, you kind of just see the evolution of the song also. So I think that's when I guess that vocal patterns also, I think that could have influenced. Also the lyrics, I think when during the record, a lot of the lyrics were written in the house also, right? In this house.
That's right.
Wow.
Last year, so just before second wave hit, so we finished recording drums, and then the second wave hit, and then they announced the Bangalore lockdown, and like we had to finish the album, finish the recording. So just quickly call these guys like, yo, y'all have to come to Hyderabad like as soon as like the lockdown was the next day, like your next flight, fucking come here. So they figured out whatever they could do, however they could do it, and they got here, and I think we were all the three of us were in this house for like a month.
Yeah.
Wow.
Close to a month. He just sat here, finished all the other instruments between here and a neighbor, like a friend's house who lives right next door. Because the city was in lockdown, so we have like a little home studio set up here. We did the guitars and the bass here, and then went next door to a friend's place to do the vocals.
Fucking
Wow.
awesome.
That's-
That was going to be my next question. Like, considering you guys had to deal with the lockdown, was that like, even though it sucks to say this, but it was helpful, right?
I think, yeah, I mean, we never would have sat in one place and worked on the music together to polish things up, And I think,
Yeah, I mean, it's more of it's just a random event that happened randomly by chance.
I don't think that's going to happen again also.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't think that, yeah.
But I must ask you, right? Because in a conversation, at least we've had about, I don't know if it was on the podcast or just between two of us, you mentioned that, State of Chaos is your most pissed off album. And I have to ask, what was the thing that pissed you all off? I mean, like, was it just like being stuck at home? just the situation around
Seeing
like,
each
what-
other's faces for a month.
Yeah, that also could be, right? I didn't want to state the obvious, but
That's where the
it's
vocals
okay.
came in. So the vocals and solos came in, like the polishing up of those things happened while we were locked up in the house. Like, I mean, he had some vocals earlier, Mo had some solo ideas earlier, but I think all that came together when the three of us were here, basically. Most of it, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that, I don't know, just like also, I guess, you kind of put yourself into the music, right? What's going on in your personal listening also. So when that events in your personal life, I guess, come out somehow in that part of, I mean, like whenever you're sitting down to write that music, So I guess that's just probably that. There's too many things to get pissed off with, man. It's not,
I
it's
think,
not
I, think you,
difficult.
I think if you live in this country, I think there are, there's no end of things that you can not get
Yeah,
pissed
it's
off
not that
with.
hard to get pissed off. It's very easy.
Yeah, like that's what I say, right? Like
I mean, all
always-
you have to do is look out the window, man. That's as simple as
Yeah.
that.
like someone used to ask me, right? Like, why do you listen to metal? And I was like, because that's just how it is. I mean, like, I don't know how else to kind of deal with everything else that's happening, right? And metal is, in a way, the therapy. I mean, it's cliche, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say the same thing. Yes.
But I want to ask you about one thing, and I think, like, I've seen this change over the last 10 odd years in India, right? And Animesh will definitely remember this, but there used to be a time, especially when I started writing and covering Indian bands, right? There was a term which we used to always use, that this is good for an Indian band. And I think slowly, like in the last 10 years, that's kind of, that whole tag has kind of gone out, right? Like, I mean, if I have to send States of Chaos to anybody abroad and not tell them where the band is from, listening to the sound, the packaging, the production, and everything, you wouldn't be able to tell in there. So was that like a conscious thing that you were looking? Because of course, there's so much, we are so far more exposed to, resources, I guess, right?
That's actually been our system of working, and that's been our goal for ourselves since the beginning. Since we formed the band, that's one thing we told ourselves, like when we started form the band, that we don't want to be the best band in the city or the country or whatever. We just want to be like set the bar higher with everything that we do and be on par or as far beyond bands that we look up to. I mean, obviously this might sound like a very stupid and arrogant thing to say, but it's not that. It's not about that, but it's about like being on, like taking things, like pushing ourselves to being the best that you can be, regardless of the country and this thing, like comparisons to anything. It's not about India and this thing. You need to be on level with anyone else in the world. So, and that's something that we paid attention to, like with every little detail that we did, like not just yes, songwriting, yes, but like even when you try and take it live and every little aspect, like merch, even unpackaging, quality control with the CDs and the booklet and every little aspect of that, we pay a lot of attention to all those details to make sure it's like when you look up, like, okay, like my favorite band, I buy their CD or whatever, and just look at it, it's like, this looks incredible. And I want someone else who opens the CD to look like, give them the same feeling, basically.
So I'm going to come to merch in some time, because you'll have really like done a lot this time, but I'm going to hold that thought for a bit.
Okay, so while we are holding that thought, I think it's time and like enough time in to this chat where we kind of break the clutter and ask you guys to pick a song to play. What's the first song from this album that people should hear?
I think you should play the album start to finish. So start with the first song.
Dude, I don't mind doing that, but I mean,
28 minutes only, right?
If you want
it's
to,
only 28 minutes.
right.
29.
No, but I mean, if someone had to listen to it, it's arranged in a way where, like, just trim the fat and no bullshit. The album starts off like a little differently to what we've been. I mean, we wanted to start very specific that we wanted to start the album this way. So yeah, the first song, Malevolent, I think is what the first song someone should listen to is.
Okay, Kaushal, you want to introduce that track? Like how you would do at a live gig?
I think you'll have to go to the neighbors for that. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to keep it simple. Malevolent.
one thing that you'll have done on the EP and now on the album itself is you'll have worked with Hertz Studios. And even though you'll worked, like it's been mixed and mastered at the same place, this is huge bump that, Animesh talked about in sound. Take us through the last 3 years, right? Like in terms of just your sound and kind of honing it, because like there is something very significantly different. So take us through that process of what's going on there.
So the recording process was always like a DIY thing, which we did ourselves because there's no studios here that really, understand or know how to record metal. So we basically used all our gear. Luckily have a sound rental company where I have my own drum kit and own mics. So we used all our own gear. And the last time was actually the first time we really did it on that level, and now this time we obviously knew what we did the last time. We wanted to improve the quality of that with that. So we kind of just did a lot more research, just looked up online a lot more, just tried to find different techniques of miking the drum kit, for example. And also when the first EP, when we sent it to Hertz, we didn't really give them too much of a guideline. I think we just told them do what you do. This time we were very particular about keeping things a bit more organic sounding and the guitar, we were a little more particular with the guitar, the way we wanted the guitar and the bass to sound as well. We told them we wanted to sound like this, we wanted to sound like this, the drum should sound like this. So there was a bit of back and forth. The first mix that we got, we weren't happy with at all. Made a lot of tweaks, a lot of changes, and then I think finally it just sounds like nice and thick and chunky and brutal. So we kind of had that back and forth with the studio as well to get exactly what we wanted and not just sound like any other band that the studio mixes. That they're great with what they do. Obviously they're amazing, which is why we went to them in the first place. But we also knew what we wanted this time. So
okay, what was it that you guys were looking for? Did you have those references in mind?
With regards to the drum sound or the guitar sound, we knew what we want. The guitar sound should sound a little bit more. Always wanted it to sound more mid driven, right?
Yeah. Sound. I want the sound to be a little more meatier. So
okay, any guitar player or any album that you wanted it to sound like?
Not particularly, but the general sound of maybe Walk from Decapitated, the way his guitar roll sounds, and also this other band, Skeletal Remains.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
Or kind of like a mix of both these sounds to have this good attack as well as have really meaty mids.
And personally speaking, I love the way the bass has been mixed in. It's nice and loud, and it's not just left in the background.
Yeah, that's what I was very particular about that also. The bass is
Yeah, we have to fight for it, man.
Yeah. And
it always becomes a fight. I don't know why.
And live also, on the bass is almost on par with the guitars. So because now that you're playing with the single guitar, the bass has to fill in the thing. And it's I use a very distorted bass live.
Yeah.
So almost try to get the same sound with in studio basically.
And what about your vocals? On first listen, I thought that they were slightly processed, but processed in a good manner.
Personally, I actually don't really see that, for us it was just
actually one thing that we did this time was we took with the whole recording overall also, we tried to keep it a bit more natural sounding and even the bass, I know that I haven't played really tight. It's just what I feel like. I'm not, at certain places I did things that I would probably do live. So I just played it and I was just feel like I'm just just do it this, drop the slide over here and then just go to the next step. I think just played it very naturally. And the vocals we didn't do too many layers and takes. It was just just one mic, center this thing. Yeah. Very few places here and there we felt okay, this needed a bit of a, not even a gang vocal thing, but another layer of something else, maybe with a growler, scream mix, but very, very rarely. We used to do a lot of that earlier, but now we just stripped it down to basics. Yeah. So the overall, even the recording process was, we try to keep it a bit more natural sounding and not overly doing multiple takes and tightening the, we try to play to the best of what we could play, especially drums and guitars are this thing, but the bass, I think bass and the vocals are a bit more very little free sounding kind of
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I wasn't saying that it's overtly processed. I think what you said, but what you said helped me articulate this better too. It sounds a lot like how I have experienced Godless live, and that's tough to do in a studio, especially when you aren't really in the same studio that's mixing and mastering your own tracks. Like it's tough to get that across.
Yeah, it's just a matter of getting into that zone and knowing what you want on the final product, because you have to also be like, I mean, you need to almost visualize what the final product will be like. It sounds like shit because we haven't mixed it. We don't know how to mix it that well. But listening to rough demos of scratch recordings and all that, and still bringing out the final effect that you want on the record. And so just kept it a little organic with the recording as well, because you wanted that feel on the record as well.
Now, one thing I definitely want to add here is you've talked so much about the recording, right? And it's all DIY.
Yeah.
But that's the same thing you'll have decided to do with the release, right? Because, the first EP was released by Transcending Obscurity on its India sublabel, but subsequently your EP and now your album is being released independently.
Right.
And that's taking DIY to a complete different level, right? Because now I want to bring in the merch, because not only y'all are doing the CD, a box set, T-shirts, you're also doing vinyl. So tell me about that. I mean, the reason why I'm saying this, because for a lot of people, they just think that, recording the album and putting it up on streaming is the end. But this is that next two steps you'll have taken ahead, right?
Yeah, this is something I think we've all wanted to do. The CDs, merch anyway, we always make a lot of, and all different types of different designs. And we do that because when we go on tours or whatever, we have, that's what keeps us going, the merch, pushing the merch, selling the merch, whatever, and helps us fund the albums or the tours or whatever. But but the vinyls are something that we were very particular about, very early on, actually. This is something that we wanted to do. Just however, we have to pull this off. We have to get this done. And that still is the hardest part of the whole this thing. So we, I think just before the masters came in, we got in touch with this place in Germany and just figured out where we're going to print the vinyls and how much it's going to cost, budgeted for it, did all of that. And suddenly, and by the time we got the masters, the vinyl was supposed to be pressed and ready in about two and a half months. So by the time we got the master, they said it's going to take 9 months to press this. I was like, what the fuck, 9 months?
Is this because of the Adele album release, which is being...
I don't know if that's really true or not, but there's a bunch of rumors around. And there's apparently she wanted 500,000 vinyls printed, so the whole world is short of vinyl. I don't know how true that is. But I don't know. So basically the whole of Europe and the US is short of vinyls and they're not able to press enough. So we got in touch with this pressing plant in Australia. And they said they can pull it off in about 3 to 4 months, which was a lot better than 9 months. And the 9 months has now gone up to 1.5 years.
Yeah.
So we got in touch with them, and my family luckily lives in Australia. And so the vinyl is going to be, once they're pressed, they're going to get shipped over there, and it's going to be shipped from Australia to the rest of the world, even India or wherever. So the vinyls get shipped from there, and the rest of the merch gets, we've got everything ready here and we ship it out from here. Yeah, the vinyl.
Yeah, good thing that there are more band members in the house. It'll help with packing, certainly.
Yeah. So that we're sitting, got the merch here.
Like this is the thing, right? Everyone expects a week before the release, or the release is sitting back, but no, stuffing envelopes and packing. That's about it, being independent, right?
The last week is the worst, man. There's so much going on, don't even know where to start. And the tour's kicking off as well. So you're okay, focus on the tour, focus on the album release, focus on work.
Yeah, at times we feel like there are almost not enough band members in the band, and we need one more random member to just do all the shit,
But having said that, and here's the thing about the 2 steps further, right? Is this past weekend in Bangalore, you all did an album listening party where you all also launched Netherword, which is a dark, strong Belgian ale, which was released in collaboration with Aurum Brew Works. And this is, by the way, not the first time you'll have released a beer, right? This is the second beer you'll have released. So tell me about that collaboration.
I don't know. So the first time we did a Doppelbock, and I was in Hyderabad. And the second time, I guess a lot of people were asking for it in Bangalore as well. But it just so happened that we had, actually, let me take you back, I think a couple of years before I tell you that story. So I think everybody knows Godless likes their beer, when we were on tour in Europe for the first time and we had gone to Wacken, I think that kind of like, it was great because we got to drink a lot of beer. And
Germany. Well.
Yeah, that was a short trip. And then we went back again in 2018. And then we toured about, I don't know, 18 cities or something like that. And so this time we really got to drink a lot of beer from different countries, different regions, different styles. But one thing that like kind of like blew us away was like Belgian beer. And Belgian beer by itself is awesome. And then there's like much more awesome Belgian beer within that. And so we were in a city called Leuven. And so we kind of heard that this beer called Westlater in 12 was really good. So we went and tried. Fortunately, we kind of like found a pub there which serves Westlater in 12 because one of our friends kind of gave us, he took us there as well.
So basically this beer is a very, very rare beer and difficult to find. And it's won all these beer competitions, supposed to be the best beer in the world. You're like, oh, best beer in the world, we have to have it, right?
Yeah. So so you serve that at room temperature and the bottle has no label. The only branding that you will see is on the bottle cap. Okay, and it's really, and if you want to stock that beer at your pub, you gotta like order it in much in advance. So it was like a really great experience to just be able to drink that, and basically we just generally like stronger beers. We all love stouts, and yeah, we don't really shy away from malt heavy beer. And so when we came back to India, it just like felt natural that okay, we should definitely do something that is reminiscent of this. So we did the Netherworld beer as a tribute to Westlater and 12. Yeah.
And you wanted it to coincide with the album release also, have beer, listen to the album, just goes well together.
Yeah. And it's basically it's a dark, heavy, pretty heavy on the alcohol percentage. It's at 8% officially.
It's a metal beer, dude. That's it.
So if you like things that are dark and heavy, I think you should definitely go check out the Netherworld beer at Autumn Brews. Yeah, wild class.
Awesome. So hopefully it lasts till the next time I'm in Bangalore.
Yeah, and by the way, I didn't talk about George. So we had met George, who was the brewer who helped make this possible for us. Yeah, so shout out to him.
Considering you're calling it Netherworld, is this like genuinely, if I were to ask you, hey, you guys have this song called Netherworld and you have a really cool music video for it, what does it taste like? You'll just give me the beer?
Yeah, it's like metal as fuck, dude.
Okay, cool. Because we're talking about Netherworld, I think let's play Netherworld. What do you guys say?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Perfect segment.
You guys are releasing an album. You've also lined up several spots in India to play. I mean, by several, I mean whatever the handful of cities that India has metal gigs at as such to play. What are you guys looking forward to the most?
I think it would be the Northeast for me right now. Yeah.
And why is that?
I don't know. First of all, because it's like so further. It's like super far. It's out there. So I don't know. I just like visiting places that are kind of far. It just takes you away as far as possible from where you kind of live. So I think and also it's because the place is really the food is great. The place is beautiful.
Great food.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I just want to tour, man. Just want to go and play some gigs. Like sick of fucking not playing gigs, sick of not this whole pandemic and all this bullshit. Just want to get out there and play anywhere, honestly. But yeah, looking forward. Also, like there's a couple of gigs that haven't been announced, but I mean, obviously, I think they'll be announced by the time this podcast is out. But we're coming to Bombay as well.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
you hear it here first.
Yeah. We'll be hitting Pune a little bit, couple of days before Bombay. So yeah, I mean, you're looking forward to Bombay. Bombay is like a hometown gig for us almost.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? I mean, like yesterday while doing research, whatever research I did for this interview, I ended up watching, the tour video that y'all did with Godless, which is
Right.
the eviscerating thing where Kaushal was pulling double duty, and I still remember meeting him at that game, going like, "How the fuck are you managing
Yeah.
this?" And he was just like, "Quiet, I'm not talking." But yeah, it's crazy, and I think like watching that video also made me realize that like for a lot of people they just think that touring India is just okay, catching flights and things like that. But considering like 10 years ago there was no network, right? And for now to kind of be able to do these gigs,
Right.
and y'all are doing it like, that's what I was talking to Animesh also, that comparatively y'all are doing it like I mean, the Bombay gig, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is a weekday. So you're not even doing weekends. So you're doing it over consecutive weeks.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, I think the touring. I mean, unlikely that's a format of gigging that we feel like that's more suited to us. And I mean, that's how we want. I mean, we want to play to do tours instead of the odd. I mean, yeah, the odd gig here and there is fine, but we don't want to do like just like one gig here, one gig there kind of thing. We'd rather do a whole tour because we prepare a set for the tour, and you want like. It's everything's designed for the tour, and then we do the next. And then when we do the next tour, we change things up, and something's different. The set is different, or whatever elements we want to add, like even something like lights or sound, or we want to change something around production value, whatever we can add to it, or change things around. So we want to take it like design our entire performance, everything around it for that tour, and then change that for the next tour. Take that format across.
So for the few Indian listeners that we have, and who are listening to it and now wondering that, okay, should we actually head out and watch Godless? What's the kind of teaser that you're going to give them, what you'll have not done before at any tour or any set before?
Okay, this is going to be our longest set. I don't know how we're going to pull this off. And now there's so much material to choose from. Today we had the first rehearsal as a full band today, actually. And we're like, holy shit, how are we going to pull this off, man? This is going to be fuck. It's really like, it's brutal throughout. The whole set, there's no breather. So like the listener's just gonna like, it's just smashed throughout, dude. So yeah, it's gonna be like a pretty violent set for sure.
Awesome. So that if that's not a good enough reason to get out of the house and catch Godless on this tour, I don't think there is any more, right?
Absolutely not. You and I, we both know what we are doing whenever the Bombay date is finally properly announced, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. So as we begin to wind things down, are you guys already looking at the future? I mean, is this album kind of done and dusted? What's the plan at the moment, the short term as well as the long term? Any thoughts?
Songwriting will start soon. Already have like a few riffs floating around, which not this thing, but yeah, we will start songwriting like very soon. In the gap between the gigging and all that, obviously. But yeah, we are planning or touring with this album, promoting the album, because there is a lot of work that goes in after the release of the album as well. So we want to work out a couple of international tours next year. and whenever things get better.
Yeah, but primarily we're focusing on playing some shows right now. So yeah, we want to do the India tour. We want to do a tour abroad. So that's like the next plan. Yeah, we definitely want to do an international tour next year.
Yeah, so that's in the works right now. And then, yeah, so promoting the album work on this album, but also work on the next album in the downtime, basically. So basically, just don't want to sit around idly. So work on this and work on the next record as well, because we want to keep churning out music soon. I mean, don't want to waste too much time. We're not the kind of band that actually sits for 2 months and writes all the material in that time. We take our time, we take years, we listen to it, we polish it, we tweak it around, and we take so since 2016 was the release of 2018 was Swarm. It's 3 years now. So we like the whole 3 year, we could say 2.5 years was just the songwriting process. So that's what we'll start with this as well, and that comes in the downtime between the gigs.
And any thoughts on keeping it as a 3-piece or getting an additional guitar player, getting, I don't know, somebody on samples maybe?
No one on samples for sure. But yeah, I mean, we're a 4-piece now, so we'll take our time with finding the second guitarist as well. I mean, we like the setup right now, but yeah, the new album does have a lot more solos and lots of layers as well, which we're trying to figure out how. We are doing it with the bass and guitar right now, but yeah, we're not gonna. I mean, the way Moez also joined the band was like, it just happened like organically, I guess, without actively trying to. I mean, we were keeping an eye out for. Because we want to find the right musician to this thing also, gel with the band and be a part of the band. So yeah, we are definitely open to that, but we're going to take our time with it.
Cool, full power. Awesome. Fuck, you guys want to plug your social media and stuff?
So we are Godless India across all platforms, or you can just go to godless.in, and that has all our social media handles in one place, along with our store and merch and everything. So yeah, that has everything in one place. I think godless.in is easy to go to.
Guys from Godless, thank you so much for taking some time out and chatting with us. We wish you all the best in everything that's coming up, because you guys have a lot of stuff that's coming up.
Thanks for having us.
Really and see you in Bombay.
See you, man. See you. Thanks for having us. Always great talking to you guys.
And that was Godless. You guys know what to do if you're listening to the podcast. Go ahead, get the album. Go get yourselves pulverized and then come back and tell us how it was. As always, you can reach out to us on hauntsuppod.com or on Twitter at hauntsuppod. I'm at Asmoani if you feel like talking to me, though you really shouldn't.
I'm at Trend Crusher.
Yep, that was Haunts Up.
Haunts Up, everyone.